Welcome to News Express. A major diplomatic and economic shift may soon emerge between Nigeria and Rwanda after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu announced that Nigeria is seriously considering granting Rwandan citizens 30-day visa-free entry into the country. The proposed policy will mirror Rwanda's existing visa-free arrangements for Nigerians and is already being interpreted as part of a broader push towards deeper African economic integration and regional cooperation. The announcement came during a bilateral meeting between Tinubu and Paul Kagame at the presidential villa in Kigali ahead of the Africa CEO Forum. According to the Nigerian presidency, both leaders agreed to strengthen bilateral relations and revive several dominant agreements covering tourism, anti-corruption cooperation, illicit drug control, trade, and economic collaboration. At first glance, the visa proposal may appear to be a simple diplomatic gesture. However, its potential political and economic implications are much larger. Across Africa, discussions about visa restrictions, regional mobility, and economic integration has intensified in recent years as governments increasingly recognize that trade and development depend heavily on easier movement of people, goods, and services across borders. Tinubu reportedly described the proposed move as part of a broader Pan-African vision aimed at strengthening ties between African countries while ensuring greater people-to-people interaction. In practical terms, visa-free access can make travel easier for entrepreneurs, investors, students, tourists, and professionals between both countries. The timing of the announcement is also significant because it aligns closely with growing efforts to operationalize the African Continental Free Trade Area, often referred to as AfCFTA. The trade agreement is one of Africa's most ambitious economic projects, designed to create a massive continental market by reducing barriers to trade among African nations. While AfCFTA focuses heavily on commerce and industrial cooperation, experts increasingly argue that trade integration cannot succeed fully without freer movement across borders. In that context, visa liberalization becomes more than immigration policy. It becomes part of a larger strategy to strengthen intra-African economic activity and reduce dependence on external markets. For Nigeria, the potential agreements with Rwanda may also carry important business opportunities. Rwanda has increasingly positioned themselves as one of Africa's most business-friendly destinations, attracting technology investments, conferences, tourism, and regional corporate activity. Easier movement between both countries can therefore create additional opportunities for Nigerian entrepreneurs and exporters seeking access to East African markets. The discussions involving Rwanda Air also add another economic dimension to the evolving partnership. Nigeria has already begun developing regional export corridors through partnerships with African airlines, including earlier cargo arrangements involving Uganda Airways. Expanding such logistics cooperation with Rwanda can strengthen export access for Nigerian businesses across different African regions. This is especially important at a time when many African governments are trying to reduce over-reliance on non-African markets while ensuring stronger continental supply chains. Improved transportation and reduced travel restrictions can make regional trade faster, cheaper, and more attractive for businesses operating across Africa. Another major aspect of the discussions between Tinubu and Kagame involves revival of the Nigeria-Rwanda Joint Permanent Ministerial Commission. Diplomatic commissions of this kind often serve as mechanisms for implementing bilateral agreements, monitoring cooperation, and resolving strategic policy issues between countries. Reviving the framework suggests both governments may be preparing for broader long-term cooperation beyond symbolic diplomatic engagements. The proposed visa-free policy may also generate important conversations inside Nigeria itself. Immigration and border policies often attract mixed reactions because governments must balance economic openness with national security concerns. Supporters of the move are likely to argue that easier travel strengthens African unity, boosts tourism, and creates business opportunities. Critics may question whether Nigeria is fully prepared for expanding mobility arrangements given existing economic and security pressures. Still, Rwanda's own visa policy towards Nigerians since 2021 has already demonstrated how African countries are gradually experimenting with more open travel systems. Rwanda has consistently promoted itself as one of the continent's strongest advocates for easier African mobility, often positioning visa liberalization as essential for regional growth and integration. The political symbolism of the announcement is also difficult to ignore. Across Africa, leaders increasingly speak about Pan-Africanist, regional integration, and reducing barriers between African nations. Yet, implementation often moves slowly because of domestic political concerns and bureaucratic resistance. Tinubu's comments therefore signal that Nigeria may be willing to play a more active role in advancing regional mobility discussions. Social media reactions to the announcement have already been mixed but energetic. Many Nigerians welcome the possibility of easier travel and stronger African cooperation, especially among young professionals, entrepreneurs, and travelers interested in regional opportunities. Others raise concerns about reciprocity, border management, and whether ordinary Nigerians will experience direct economic benefits from such agreements. At a broader level, the development reflects how Africa's political and economic priorities are gradually evolving. Instead of focusing exclusively on relations with Western economies or external partners, African governments are increasingly exploring deeper cooperation among themselves. Trade, transportation, tourism, technology, and regional investment are becoming central parts of the conversation. For Tinubu's administration, the discussions with Rwanda may also form part of a wider effort to project Nigeria as an active continental player under his foreign policy approach. Strengthening ties with influential African countries allows Nigeria to maintain diplomatic relevance while also pursuing economic opportunities linked to regional integration. Whether the visa-free proposal eventually becomes official policy remains to be seen. Such agreements usually require administrative coordination, immigration adjustment, and bilateral implementation frameworks before full activation. Nonetheless, the policy signal itself is already attracting continental attention. Because in modern Africa, the future of economic power may depend not only on what countries produce, but also on how easily Africans themselves can move, trade, invest, and connect across borders without unnecessary barriers standing in the way. Stay with us on News Express for more updates and in-depth analysis. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am Cassie Tony, and many thanks for watching.